welcome back to another Wealth Life video. In just 10 minutes, I'm going to change your wealth. Wealth is the feeling that we get when we are rich in our health and our well-being. Mental health, physical health, emotional health, and spiritual health. And today's topic was actually inspired by a conversation with myself and a couple of my students at the end of one of my classes last week. I can't remember how we got on to the conversation actually. I think they might have just asked me. And that's my thoughts on fluoride. Now, don't tune out because this, it might sound like a boring science word, but it's actually something that could be affecting you. And it's a conspiracy that's been growing over the years. Now, I first found out about this fluoride conspiracy, I can't remember when. Definitely over 10 years ago. And I'd already made the switch that I'm going to tell you today. And I'm guessing that was a little bit of an intuitive switch, but also because I liked the smell of something and the taste of something. Anyway, so fluoride, you may have seen in the news. People talk about fluoride because it's controversial. Now, fluoride was hailed the savior of dental health, dental hygiene, years and years and years and years ago. It was from the mid-20th century that they then started to put fluoride into our water. So, of course, it was sold to us, the people, that, if the fluoride was in our water, it's going to help our teeth. And then, of course, we have fluoride in our toothpaste. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I was always told not to swallow my toothpaste because, and it kind of, it's a little, we don't want to swallow it because of the fluoride, but we're then still putting it in our mouths to brush our teeth. So it's kind of like, is it safe? Is it not safe? Is this the reason we spit our toothpaste out? Like, what is going on? It was kind of just accepted for years and years and years. And there was always this underlining tone of, like I've just said, don't swallow your toothpaste, spit it out. You're not supposed to swallow the fluoride. And, if we're not supposed to swallow the fluoride in toothpaste, why are we swallowing fluoride in our water? It's put in our tap water, so people then switch to drinking water, which then brings another whole level of microplastics and fluorides and sodiums in the water, and it is a minefield. This is one for another Wealth Life, talking about water. Some of the conspiracies, I was going to say conspiracy theories, but over the past couple of weeks, because fluoride has been in the news and they're stopping putting it into water in some US states, that one of these that was a conspiracy is actually now being, it's true. So the first one, some conspiracy theories actually believe, or theorists believe, that fluoride was used in water as a form of mind control. Just let that sink in, because if it is, how crazy that it's actually in the water that every single person drinks. Like, what a way to get something in to people than through their water. So the theory behind this is that fluoride actually stops people from thinking critically, makes people more passive and therefore easy to govern. So we tell them what to do and they do it. And this is because of the fluoride in the water. Again, this is just a theory. I'm not saying this is true. I'm not saying that I believe this one. I would say that there's possible evidence over the years that this is the case, as the way that the human race is going is that we are seemingly more easy to govern. Or, is that just from social media? I hate to use the word dumb, but just dumbing down our brains, that we see something and we believe it. And, this is up to you to decide whether or not, you believe that or you don't. But it's just really interesting that there's this thing in our water that we can't control. And if it has been put there to control us, that's very scary. And just to add here, there isn't really a huge amount of scientific evidence to prove this, other than, people doing their own research and the decline in academics over a period of time. But again, you could argue that there is that just that the education system hasn't been updated over X amount of years. Second is that it's not so much a theory actually. So fluoride was a waste product that came from factories, I think working in aluminium and phosphate, I've got the phosphate fertilizer, wastage. So what actually happened is they had all of this waste and they didn't, it was expensive to get rid of it. So what they actually said was because it was safe to consume, that they would put it in water, and that was a way to get rid of the product. So imagine So imagine that you've been painting and you've got some red paint left over. So instead of getting rid of the paint safely and we have to go to this place to dispose of the paint and we have to pay, it's a lot easier just to mix the paint with some water and tip it down the sink. That kind of thing here with this. Again, this does raise some eyebrows because this isn't a theory. This is just what fluoride is. However, people for fluoride argue that yes, this might come under unethical, when it's a waste product, but the benefits of having fluoride in the water for our teeth outweigh those issues. Again, you make up your own mind. And finally, and this is the one that I learned about first, was fluoride calcifies your pineal gland, or otherwise known as your third eye. So the more fluoride we have, it's actually keeping us from tapping into our intuition, tapping into a higher state of consciousness. Of course, our third eye is linked to our all-seeing, all-knowing, and people who believe that fluoride has actually diminished our own, I'm going to call them powers, telepathy, mind reading, again, intuition, the way that we think and that we see the world is actually diminished from fluoride. Now, our pineal gland does calcify as we age. However, it is thought that fluoride speeds up that process. So what do we do about this? Now, one simple swap, and this is WELLth Life, is to change your toothpaste. Now, I've been using fluoride-free toothpaste for, I don't even know how long, 15 years? I don't know. So the toothpaste that I actually use, I'm going to put it on the screen now. I think you pronounce it Euthymol. I was introduced to this toothpaste when I used to be a care worker, and I was looking after a young man, an old man. He was an old man, and I had to brush his teeth, and I loved the smell of the toothpaste, and I went out and bought it. I went to Boots and I bought it, and I've not looked back. So I haven't used fluoride toothpaste, and that must have been 2007, 2008, however long ago that was. And I've never had, touch wood, I don't have cavities. Every time I go to the dentist, I get a sticker. I'm a good girl. My teeth are good. I floss. I do the things, and I don't have any cavities. So I would question, if the fluoride in our water and toothpaste was that important, surely I would have, you'd be able to see that in my teeth. I don't drink, I haven't drank tap water for a very long time. I think the water that I have is fluoride free. Again, I'm going to do another podcast on water because I'm just in the process of actually ordering a new filter for my water, just to completely, get rid of anything that's in the water that we don't need after all of this fluoride business on the news. And just before I wrap up, so this is something that you need to reflect on yourself. Do you want to step into a life of wealth where you know that you're not adding this extra, whatever it is, solution, product, waste product to your diet, to your water, to your toothpaste, maybe stepping away from it? There's a lot of debate at the moment, again, because it has been in the news. There are some controversial studies that show there is a link between IQ in children and fluoride, as well as some other, ailments to do with joints and bones, that excess fluoride actually seizes our bodies, making us sick. So go away and do your own research. But if it is something that you've been toying with or you've seen it in the news, stepping into your WELLth life today by just making that switch to fluoride-free toothpaste. And that's it for today. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you've heard any other controversial stories about fluoride, if you've already made the switch, if you use any other type of toothpaste. Pop this in the chat. Sharing is caring. Other people might, you might not be able to get the one that I use. And again, this is not sponsored, by the way. This is just me sharing my fluoride-free toothpaste based on that conversation that I had after my yoga class last week, as the women there were really interested in making the switch themselves. So I'm hoping that it helps you out in some way. Anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully by the time I've edited this, it is within our 10 minutes, the 10-minute budget that I've put on myself for these videos. I'll see you next week and stay wealthy.